everything changes.
Greetings and welcome to Module 3. I'm glad you're back with us and you're sticking the course. So to recap, last time we talked about the need to identify the constraints that are holding you back from achieving better marketing. Did you spend a few minutes reflecting on what constraints you think you have? Did you take advantage of that free online assessment or give me a call to do the full assessment? If not, what are you waiting for? No, please do. Seriously, I think it'll be very rewarding. We also discussed the importance of having a desire and a true interest in improving your overall situation and advancing your marketing. Now, I know there's nothing I can say or do that's going to help you unless you truly have a desire and an interest in improving things. I'm simply here just as a guide to help you advance and move the needle. So are you with me? All right, let's work on developing that strategic mindset. Okay. When we talk about strategic marketing and that mindset, it's important, of course, to identify what we're talking about. One is, what does it mean to be strategic? Two is, how do I measure success with strategic marketing? And three, what does it look like when it's all put together? So let's walk through those. First of all, it's helpful to get the definition out there and the terms so we're all on the same page. What does strategic marketing mean? Well, if we break it up and define each word, we get a cleaner focus. So first of all, strategic, by definition, is relating to the identification of long-term or overall aims and interests and the means of achieving them. Pretty simple. Carefully designed or planned to serve a particular purpose or advantage is another definition. And then synonyms, of course, planned, calculated, deliberate, tactical. Those are things we need to be thinking and focusing on. Now, how about defining marketing? Well, marketing by definition is the action or business of promoting or selling products or services, including market research and advertising, kind of a base definition. More specifically for a producer, it's to sell provisions in a marketplace to generate revenue. And then synonyms, of course, sell, merchandise, or retail. Pretty basic, but it's good to be on the same page. Now, how do we measure success of a strategic approach? Well, we use our second most important number, of course. Well, let me explain. It's obvious and understood that your most important number as a producer is your average production, your APH, your yield history, your rolling herd average if you're a dairy, your rate of gain, and of course, overall capacity for livestock. Knowing your average production, your goals and objectives helps drive efficiencies on all fronts, especially financial. Now, after all, a low cost production and high yields is really the focus and goal, right? Oh yes, it is for you and every other producer. How about looking at your actual revenue that your farm brings in as income in the same light? And here's a professional tip, hashtag weighted average price. This is your second most important number. Now, we say this because we need to have a quantifying view or determination of what your weighted average price is across all your production collectively on your known and your expected production, so any different crop year or marketing period. It all starts with your strongest suit that you can play, and that, of course, is your cash production. Now, as a grain producer, I'll reference your cash grain is your strongest suit. So let me explain. As we look at an overall weighted average price calculation, it's pretty basic, but it comes down to looking at the totality of your operation. How many total bushels have you produced or do you produce or will you produce? And then breaking things down into different categories in terms of what's priced or what's unpriced. So of course, we look at the price column on the left. That's what physical production you have locked in and sold through your end user. Maybe you have 30% of your production set on a hedge to arrive or locked in. You also then, of course, maybe you've done some hedging on another portion. Maybe you use some put options. So maybe you covered 20% with some put options. Then, of course, you still have a portion of your production that's totally unpriced or unprotected. So 3 columns. Basically, you average through all 3 different pieces and come up with an overall weighted average price. In the example I gave, if you have 30% priced physically on a hedge to arrive and you have another 20% that's covered with a put option, you have 50% of your production covered to the downside in terms of futures price erosion. So you have protection. by law of nature and math, you still have 50% of your production that's unpriced or open. Actually, though, when you think of it, you actually have more, because the 20% you cover with a put option is still theoretically unpriced. You have protection on futures price, but you still have those bushels open for appreciation at a fixed cost on that option. So theoretically, you still have this 20% hedged over on this side, right? So you do have 70% of your production that's open to the upside, and then collectively you have 50% that's covered to the downside. This becomes very powerful when you can then leverage in those different tools and know what to expect out of them, and then recalculate your overall average price based on potential moves in the market. Now, I'm going to share more of this concept with you in a future module on some of the professional ways to quickly calculate this. But for now, let's just say to do this effectively and efficiently, it takes discipline and time, a consistent effort, and then the ability to use pencil, paper, a calculator, and your brain. Right? Run these numbers and do so on all your potential price outcomes. Look for different potential moves in the market, and then recalculate and adjust as situations change. Right? Pro tip, hashtag fine tuning, right? It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort, but it's very valuable to any given point in time to know where your overall weighted average price is, and then the potential impact a future price move could have on that average price. It gives you more clarity in making some better decisions. Okay, as we talk about then what does strategic marketing look like when you put it all together, well, the traditional model of marketing and how most producers, that 90% group, look at it, they'll base their decisions on outlook and take big kind of positions or big decisions based on where they think the markets will go. I always call it the Las Vegas approach, right? I take my entire yearly income and I go to Las Vegas and put it all on either black or red and swing for the fences and hope for the best. That's not really a good, efficient way to manage the revenue I have. So we, on the other hand, recommend and employ a more strategic approach that involves not only incremental sales and positions to really build some balance, but keeping a focus on that weighted average price over time and knowing where it's going to put us. Now, the first step in this process is to do all the analytical work to help figure out where we are in the current market, kind of define the window. So if we look at this chart, we just see over a period of time, the price of any given commodity is going to change. We're going to have rallying periods and topping periods, and then setbacks, and then bottoms, and then rallies again. So we have peaks and valleys, or peaks and tops and troughs, however you want to look at it. But over time, the market has an oscillation. We just need to determine where we are currently at based on where the market has been in the past, and then some realistic ideas of where things could go based on history. Now, it's not making a decision that we have to go higher, but where are we at in the current cycle, I guess, is the goal. And the next step then is, of course, is to figure out how to smooth out the overall volatility over time, right? We want to look at making sure our average price is, and the dashed line here is your average price, that we're smoothing out the volatility against the current market rhythm, and at the same time trying to create a better than average price over time. So we look to make decisions that help maximize the separation from the average price, weighted average price that we're building or you're building from the bottoms of the market, being proactively prepared to price and have enough protected for these washout periods. At the same time, making sure we keep an eye on opportunity and trying to minimize the separation from the tops of the market and our average price over time. Thus, again, smoothing out volatility and creating a better than average price. Staying consistent with and disciplined with our marketing is key and allows us to build that strong weighted average price over time. Now, this is impossible to do. Well, impossible unless you have a tremendous amount of consistent luck by making big emotional decisions, kind of shooting from the hip, right? Emotions end up getting the best of us, and we end up selling either near the bottoms because we panic, or we hold out too long near the tops and we're not prepared for the change in the market. This vision and this process takes focus and time to calculate and build a weighted average price, which again is your second most important number. Remember that. and it applies. And then when you apply it, you can then be better prepared to navigate your best route through the jungle of price changes, right? With prior planning and preparedness. Basically summoning your inner Boy Scout, always being prepared. So here's another professional tip. Hashtag keep it simple. Learn to focus on your second most important number along with your first most important number, and spend time preparing for everything and every potential price move rather than just your confirmation bias. All right, well, we quickly defined and discussed that strategic mindset and what it means to really be strategic, and then how to measure success and what that should look like, right? Keeping that second most important number in mind. In the next module, we'll start to dig in and take a closer look at some of those habits of the most successful and confident marketers. We'll go through a number of those that really are the most pertinent and kind of the building blocks, and start to dig in to what those actual habits look like, so you have some building blocks to start to adapt your approach. All right. Well, I hope you found these first 3 modules engaging and helpful, because we will build on these concepts the rest of the way. Now, your homework assignment, should you choose to accept it, is to spend some time running some weighted average price calculations for yourself, and also spend some time rehearsing some different scenarios that could unfold and recalculating your weighted average price. I trust if you do this, you'll find how valuable and powerful that vision is. You'll also realize how much time it takes to do that longhand, but it's very valuable to give you clarity. Okay, our contact information will be in the next slide, so again, reach out with any questions or for help. Until next time, be safe, be well, and build that strategic mindset.
Everything changes.